Well, one of them
I think will be Monday.
Totally get it.
Oh, good to know. That's always fun.
but they didn't put me on there, so it's good. They didn't put you on it either, so.
That was the first meeting of the
Yeah,
month.
the first one we can.
First meeting, and I was tied up, unfortunately.
We heard from
No, I have to work.
No.
Okay. Well, I think we're ready to go if you are. Ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
Hey, this meeting of the Board of Education to order. First order of business, the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is the spotlight. We have two spotlight matters tonight, and we'll turn this over to Ms. Kinky.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our spotlight section of our agenda for tonight, September 19th, 2017. Tonight we'll be honoring Teacher of the Year, Dr. Robert Safarian. Each day in classrooms across the district, Norwalk Public School educators work hard to ensure that our students are achieving important benchmarks and are prepared for future success. The Connecticut Teacher of the Year program recognizes and honors teacher excellence. It does not attempt to select the best teacher, but to identify one teacher to serve as a representative of what is best in the profession. This year, Rhoton Middle School special ed teacher, Dr. Robert Safarian, was selected to represent all Norwalk Public School teachers in the statewide 2018 Teacher of the Year program. This program represents and will be celebrated at a banquet taking place in November in Hartford, Connecticut. This process of choosing a Teacher of the Year representative began with submissions from educators who had been selected as part of the annual Excellence in Education initiative. A committee was composed of administrators, community representatives from the Norwalk Education Foundation, then selected the Norwalk Teacher of the Year finalist. Throughout his nearly 30-year tenure with Norwalk Public Schools, Dr. Safarian has worked with special needs students, along with administrators as well as colleagues. He led a groundbreaking initiative at Rhoton Middle School, which implemented co-teaching strategies for high-needs students in general education classrooms, rather than having self-contained settings. Dr. Safarian was also part of a group responsible for the implementation of the new middle school redesign plan for 6th grade at Rhoton. Dr. Safarian worked with team members to launch Encore, programming at the middle school level that provides enrichment, exploration, and application of the core curriculum for all students. The Board of Education tonight is proud to honor his achievements as Norwalk's Teacher of the Year. We are proud to have him as a representative of all Norwalk Public Schools educators who commit to excellence each and every day. We want to honor him and thank him, and I'd like for him to come up and to meet the board, and we have a certificate for him. So Robert, if you can come up. I will say hi to Jordan. I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. Good to see you. Congratulations. Well deserved. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. That's a good one.
Thank you so much. This is a huge honor for us and for you. We also have another spotlight for this evening, the Breakfast Pilot Program at Brookside Elementary School. Research has shows that increased school breakfast program participation is associated with better academic test scores, daily attendance, as well as classroom participation, as well as reductions in student absences, as well as being tardy. However, we know there's a difference. Getting food to students isn't always a simple task. Last year, Brookside Elementary School implemented a successful breakfast in the classroom program. with the goal of increasing student participation and ensuring all students start their day ready to learn and succeed. Thanks to Norwalk Rose, as well as Food Corps, Norwalk Public Schools was provided with the opportunity to apply for a mini grant through Share Our Strength, No Kid Hungry pilot, to grab a breakfast to go. Instead of serving breakfast in the cafeteria, the grant helped pay for a cart filled with food that students can grab on their way into classroom each and every morning. With support from school teachers, Norwalk Food Corps, service member led the effort to organize school stakeholders in rolling out a breakfast program. Additional partners included Winston's food service staff, faculty, custodial staff, as well as our 5th grade student. This amazing Brookside staff embraced the concept and worked with the Norwalk Food Corps Breakfast Brigade team. So it was a whole team effort to provide adequate time for students to eat and teachers to start their day and start their instruction. The impact of this program was huge. It was substantial. With about 40 students participating in school breakfast per day before the pilot, an average of 120 students per day as a result of this program. Tonight, we're very happy. The Board of Education is proud to honor the following representatives who helped make this program a success. I have a bunch of people we'd all like to honor tonight, and I'll call you by name if you can come up. I think most of you have met the board, but we still want you to come up. And we have a certificate for your efforts. And we know, I think all of us here on the board know how important it is to have our children start off their day with breakfast. So we want to thank all of you for your hard work and dedication to make this happen. First person I'd like to call up is Lisa Lenskold, who I see right in blue, who's the director of Norwalk Rose.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Congratulations. Thank you.
We also have Dawn Krako, Norfolk Corps Connecticut program, who is our director. We also have Elise Denigan, who's not here tonight, so we're going to have you take that in her honor. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. And a lot of this wouldn't be possible with Sandy, who is our principal here at Brookside. So Sandy, if you can come on up.
Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you.
Had a long day today.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone coming tonight.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4, public comments. Mr. Barbas, do we have any?
Yes, we actually do.
Concerns district-wide related to the middle school redesign. There was no PD offered to any 6th grade social studies this school year. Several of these teachers are new to the content area, and 6th grade teachers were presented information on a brand new materials for CPUP. There was no time given to explore the textbooks or learn how to use the other resources that they're expected to implement this year for social studies. Even though school began just 4 weeks ago, guidance counselors must continue to make corrections to schedules as students transition out of programs and into related arts classes. This transition is difficult for both the students and the teachers, as they often enter in the middle of ongoing instruction and miss the orientation and introductory lessons. The heavy rate of schedule change is a feature of redesign that is interfering with instruction. We look forward to settling schedules and developing instruction routines and learning. There continue to be pockets of oversized classrooms throughout the district. This is a result of the block schedule, which may be more efficient with time, but it is also less flexible with scheduling. We are very much appreciative of the enormous effort of the administrators, guidance counselors, and central office staff to adjust master schedules and adjust student schedules, to finally bring in oversized classroom aides to mitigate the effects of classes in 3 middle schools that are over the limit of 28 students. Our teachers will do their best to minimize the negative impacts of these oversized classrooms. This marks the 2nd year in a row where there are revisions and restrictions on the middle school music program. The program is very close to its tipping point. This will have a direct impact on the middle school experience for all of our students and will effectively begin to hurt the high school program very shortly. I believe now is the time to advocate for the arts and music and examine the data available. Several music colleagues have noted that over 80% of their students have a B or better, and are among the students receiving high honors and honors recognitions throughout the building. Our music teachers are willing to address the problems that are identified, but we are reluctant to change the program for honor students and others who are well served by the current program. Finally, there is a lack of social studies material and textbooks across the district. Each middle school does not have enough books in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for teachers to even have a classroom set. No books were ordered to accommodate the third house teacher at each building. I just learned this evening, though, that the new textbooks and supplies have been ordered. We are greatly appreciative to Dr. Connor and his work to solve this issue, and without his help, our teachers would be left to scramble for the materials and text. And that just is one small bump that our teachers are facing, again, because some of the middle school redesign is rushed. We're not looking at the small details.
3 minutes.
Finally, the NFT worked very hard this summer to educate our members about the health insurance, and we advocated for our members and believed in doing so. We are helping the members secure health insurance and the district to save critical funds. Now this evening, there is a vote on the compensation package for central office administrators that range from 2.5% up to 6%. We are requiring,
3.5 minutes.
requiring guidance counselors to donate their services because stipends are frozen, failing to give administrators the state-required training to certify them as evaluators. We are facing uncertainty about ECS funds and priority school grants and other state funding. Those raises seem quite
That's 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, Mike?
Yes, Mary Jordan.
Good evening, Mary Jordan, 9 Mott Avenue. I would like to start by congratulating Dr. Connor on behalf of the NFT and its members. We wish you well. Is he here? We wish you well in Middletown, where another proud AFT organization will have the pleasure of working with you. We have priority implementation steps for 2017-18 on the agenda this evening, 28. The current administration has been very good, actually, at picturing big changes, and not so good last year at implementing the small details. So these implementation steps are welcome. This process is welcome. Teachers and others in the buildings have been left last year to piece together the holes in the big pictures. Teachers are really happy to be agents of change, engines of change. We are behind a good deal of the change. We're implementers of the big ideas that have been generated by central office. And when those big ideas tackle the real problems and challenges, and when those big ideas provide solutions to what is faced by our district and our students, we look forward to partnering with you. Safety improvements, IB programs, and other high school improvements, including improving AP and graduation rates, reading initiatives, improving testing benchmarks, short cycle assessments, and other common formative assessments. These are really good ideas that teachers have been helping to create, supporting, and will continue to support. To have an articulated curriculum program from K through 12 in some areas is an incredible achievement, and improvements to curriculum, we believe, do more to help instruction and improve achievement than anything else. And these were badly needed, and also with them new resources and strategies, supports to help teachers teach and students learn. These were achieved with collaboration and hard work from all levels. There are many gaps. There are many missing pieces. Mr. Gianderco mentioned a few. There are difficulties to be sorted out as we implement these, but we are pleased to help power these changes when they're needed and when they will help improve achievement. We question some of the initiatives on these priority steps, especially the focus on elimination of pullouts, where no data has ever been presented to support the need. There is a theoretical issue with instructional time for sure, but the reality is that most PPTs occur during teacher prep time. Most music lessons cause the loss of no more than one class per subject per month at most, and those actually we find tend to increase the focus when they're present. Staff absentee efforts I've already shared with you is another theoretical thing, but we don't have a lot of actual data. I do want to mention that we celebrate the inclusion of non-certified staff in the Excellence in Education Awards, so we're happy to see those in the implementation steps. Many studies are involved, a number of committees we would expect to be formed in the next year, a good deal of work. I would ask that teachers be included. This hasn't always been happening. Again, we are the implementers. We have knowledge that should help to inform solutions, discussions, and populate the big ideas with details about how things actually do work in the buildings. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's it for public comments.
All right. All right, next item on the agenda is Superintendent's Report. Mr. Adamowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to just share with the board a couple of reflections on the opening of school this year. In my view of it, I think shared by many people who were in our schools the first few days, our opening was very professional, focused, purposeful, serious, and without drama. And that's the way it should be. It was the best of the three that I have experienced in Norwalk. And I want to thank all our teachers and administrators for the high level of preparation that made this possible. A good opening just doesn't happen by everybody showing up. It's weeks and weeks of preparation that make that day a day that is memorable for students and sets the tone for the rest of the school year. We successfully adjusted this year to the discontinuation of courtesy transportation. Many students and parents responded very positively to building improvements that occurred during the summer, and these include the 7th and 8th grade Teach to One labs at Nathan Hale, the Communications Academy lab at Norwalk High School, the model dining environment at Rowayton, and the dyslexia clinic on Main Avenue. All of those got off to a successful start and presented in many respects kind of a wow factor. Again, setting the tone that we are moving forward, getting better, looking better, doing better, and having higher standards. We had 66 new teachers this year. 25 of those were at the high school level. And the majority of those were positions that were actually added as a result of the board's support for high schools and the city's support for high schools to reduce the number of study halls. And remember, we are on a trajectory here. We have to do this 2 more times. We're on a trajectory of eliminating study halls and moving the graduation requirements to 26 credits. But this was a great start, and it was a really noticeable change in our high school. Students have responded very positively to it. And I think it's injected a new sense of enthusiasm and purpose into our high school staff. So all in all, a great opening. A little glitch here or there, but in the main, something I think we can all be proud of. Building on the spotlight presentation on the breakfast program, I wanted to share with the board the fact that we have been successful in receiving a grant from the American Association of School Administrators. It happens to be my professional association of superintendents, to expand the breakfast program. And you're aware from presentation made earlier by Tom Hamilton that we had applied to AASA to expand the Brookside pilot to 6 schools, and that was going to involve 4 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. We had a telephone conference with the AASA folks. Lisa in the audience attended that along with others. They were interested in receiving a plan for us that went beyond that in which a 3-year plan might be a 2-year plan. So we resubmitted with a phase 2, moving the first 6 schools between September and January, another 6 schools between January and June, and that would leave the 2 middle schools and the high schools for the next school year. That proposal was accepted, and I'm pleased to report. And I'm going to share with you tonight a memorandum of understanding that I intend to sign on behalf of the district that will launch us in this direction. One of the I need to alert you to the fact that one of the requirements of this is that both I and our food service director have to attend a 3-hour meeting at ASA headquarters in New Orleans in order to get our money. And they will be bringing in the superintendent and food service director of all their grantee districts.
There are worse kinds of torture.
Well, given the condition of my knee, the airports are the last
place you want to go.
thing I would like to do. But in any event, that is going to occur on October 17th, so I'll miss your board meeting that night as well. But anyway, we didn't know any of this while we were expanding and applying, but most of this is very good news. So look for 6 new schools between now and January, another 6 between January and June, and then the remaining middle schools and the 2 high schools next year. And we've also asked Winston's to step up the breakfast game. This has to go beyond cereal now. We're talking about breakfast burritos, things that are protein as well as grains, and again, wanting to make this as healthy an experience as we possibly can. And again, our thanks for all the good work at Brookside that really gave us a model in terms of how to approach this in a way that was so positive and enthusiastic for students. The other thing I wanted to make the board aware of is we are going to, one of the priority implementation steps this year, as you know, and you had quite a bit of discussion on this at your retreat, is the redesign of our gifted program, currently known as the AT, or Academically Talented program. We had a very productive and interesting and stimulating meeting with Dr. Joseph Renzulli, who is the father of gifted education in Connecticut and the nation, and Dr. Sally Reese, former provost at UConn, who is now a endowed professor in gifted education. We learned so much from them in the course of a couple of hours, and you know, there is a lot of work to be done here, right? They cringed when they found that we were using an instrument to identify students that was developed by a psychologist in 1965 that has since been highly discredited. And you know, their explanation of the SEM model, the school-wide enrichment model, is really a model that's designed to increase the number of students who can participate in a gifted program and use the gifted program as a means of developing talent, not just recognizing talent that already exists. So I'm going to share with you a contract that I intend to sign on behalf of the district. And I'm sharing it with you tonight because I hope you will read this over at your leisure. It provides a very good overview of the school-wide enrichment model and the various components of it. There is the regular curriculum, there are enrichment clusters, and then there's a continuum of special services for students who are gifted. This is not unlike our special education program where one size does not fit all, but different services are available based upon a student's needs. And we're very excited about this. We asked Dr. Franzulli and Reese if they could assign to us one of the fellows at their center, National Center for Gifted Education, to work with our redesign committee, and they have done that. Dr. Nancy Eastlake has a very significant reputation in Connecticut in gifted education. She's the former director of gifted education in West Hartford. She'll be working with us in our redesign committee throughout the course of the year to redesign our program. You'll see a timeline attached to the proposal toward the back, as well as Dr. Eastlake's vita and other information. But if you would look at the first 4 or 5 pages or so, I think you'll get a very good overview of what a gifted program designed in 2017 should look like. It is by its nature interdisciplinary. And so probably the greatest anomaly we have is this subject area focus at the middle school. We also learned that the state will be providing a required endorsement for gifted education that falls just short of the master's in gifted ed. And so the issue of hiring qualified staff or helping our staff to become qualified, our existing staff, is going to be an issue that we need to deal with as well in terms of certification. But this was a very, very exciting. This work is going to proceed under the leadership of Yvette Gorovich. I'm going to be involved in it personally. At times, we are in the process of forming the study committee now that will work with Dr. Eastlake on the redesign. And fortunately, we have had, we anticipate we're going to have a couple of principals, a couple of the gifted teachers themselves involved in this, as well as a number of parents and a representative of the Board of Education, which I understand is going to be Mr. Meek. And so we hope to get this off the ground in early October. But again, very exciting, very exciting launch in terms of our partnership with the National Center for Gifted Education at UConn. Okay. And finally, I would just like to take a second for an item that was left off the agenda. I'm going to ask Ralph Valenzizi to come up and just make you aware of something that he is leading and we are participating in as we go forward into the school year.
So, thank you, Dr. Adamowski, and good evening, everybody. I just want to take a moment to talk to you a little bit about a consortium of CIOs for the state of Connecticut that we are one of the founding districts of. About a year ago, I set out on a journey to try and pull CIOs together in the state of Connecticut to really become more of a user group and an educational institution to support superintendents in their roles with all the changes that are happening in technology. And it goes along with teaching and learning as well as talking about the IT infrastructure. And we're seeing that this is becoming a more prevalent role in districts. There's a national consortium built around this called the Consortium of School Networking, which is a partner to AASA. As Dr. Adamowski had mentioned, the affiliation with the Superintendent's Association. Myself and the Director of Digital Learning for Weston are co-chairs of now the new state chapter of COSN for Connecticut. And we are both considered founding districts in that state chapter. It's called KETTLE, which is for Connecticut Educational Technology Leaders. We've done a number of different events in the last year. Earlier this year, we had an event around the student data privacy law that just came out recently that will be implemented in July of 2018. We were able to get 90 out of the 160 some odd school districts to come to talk about exactly what their concerns were around the implementation of this and then how do we actually put this into play. We've done a lot of different educational opportunities, especially around cybersecurity this year. We've had a lot of issues with school districts that are very, very concerned in this area. So we've offered some training for other school systems around cybersecurity and given them resources for that. But currently, one of the biggest things that we're doing right now is on October 5th, we're having our first state conference at the Radisson Cromwell. And you are all invited to come, so please just let me know if you'd like to come up for a portion of the day or for the whole day. The day will be based around the idea of new credentialing that's going to be offered to school systems for the websites called the Trusted Learning Environment. Currently, there's only about, I think, 12 districts nationally that actually have this credentialing. And the credentialing basically shows that your website has certain best practices put into place, that leadership has actually taken a look at what's put in place. There's business practice that's actually, there's best practices to make sure that you're actually operating correctly. There's security practices in place, that there's professional development opportunities that are put into place on the website for your educational institution, as well as classroom practice and classroom instruction, and how is that portrayed on your website. So it's a self-assessment that you do, and then you actually then try to get that certification, which is something as part of one of our priority outcomes. We talked about an educational technology plan. One of my goals will be that within 18 months we will, and it does take time to get this certification, we will be one of those districts that will have this trusted learning environment and have that credentialing to know that we have a safe environment for our students. This workshop that we're doing, we're bringing in some national keynote speakers to talk about security and to talk about how do you kind of build out this type of trusted learning environment. So, like I said, you're all welcome to come. If you'd like any more information, I'd be more than happy to share it with you, but I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that on October 5th, we'll be having this event at the Radisson Cromwell for the state of Connecticut. And, thanks to all of you also for helping with becoming, part of that founding district for the state.
Okay. Thank you, Ralph. Thanks, Ralph.
Thank you, Ralph. Finally, and this is a bittersweet moment for us, I want to extend our congratulations and best wishes to Dr. Michael Connor for his selection as superintendent of the Middletown Public Schools. This is bittersweet because, this is a great opportunity for Michael. Middletown is about half our size, but remarkably similar to Norwalk in terms of race, ethnicity, and income. And, we wish that the Middletown Board of Education had not done a search in September. And we wish Michael could be with us a little longer. But these opportunities always don't present themselves on the best timeline, and know that he will make an outstanding superintendent and will be an instructional leader as he has here. And a little bit of Norwalk, maybe a lot of Norwalk, will go with him as he goes to Middletown. And at age 37, he will be the youngest superintendent in Connecticut. And Michael, thank you, and Godspeed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We will now move on to the action portion of the agenda. First item is the consent calendar, which tonight is 2A, approval of personnel, 2B, approval of budget transfers, 2C, approval of a trip, Brian McMahon High School Junior ROTC, and approval of board meeting date change, move November 7 to November 14. That last one is just reflecting the fact that we have 3 people up here running for office. That's election day. We felt it would be easier for everybody if we just pushed it back a week so we didn't conflict with the election. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Question?
No, Mr. Chair, it's not a motion to approve. I did have a question regarding point 2A, the approval of personnel. The majority of those did not actually have the job posting listed with them. It was just a number. So I am actually going to make a motion to table point 2A to be discussed at a later time when we can be given the full details of the positions that those people are going to.
Just pull it out. Okay. A motion to table is not debatable, unfortunately. Is there a second to the motion to table?
Sure.
Second? All right. This is tabling to next meeting?
Next meeting.
Okay, table to next meeting. All right. All in favor of the motion to table to the next meeting, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? 1, 2, 3. Abstain? Did I miss somebody? Oh, we're missing a member. Okay, motion to table is approved. This will be held over to the next meeting. Okay, is there now a motion to approve the consent calendar absent approval of personnel?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? Second? All right, all in favor? And Mike, you voting on this one? Consent calendar? All right, consent calendar is approved with personnel tabled to the October 3 meeting. Right? Is that our next meeting? I think it's October 3.
Mr. Chair.
That's a workshop session, but we can
Well,
have...
we can, yeah, we'll put this over to
Sure,
October
can I ask
3.
a question?
Yes.
Is this personnel already hired?
Yes, they're hired, they're working, they're retired or resigned, so. There was an error in the talent office. As you know, staff has been reorganized, so we had somebody working on this for the first time. Therese did not catch it, and we'll do it correctly.
And
Yes.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to just say I do know that Ms. Sherry was trying to get this corrected as quickly as possible, and unfortunately it wasn't able to get to us by this evening. I do appreciate all the hard work, and I look forward to seeing the details for our next meeting.
We'll take care of it.
All right. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of priority outcomes and implementation steps of the strategic operating plan for 17-18. We went over these, as you know, in great detail at our last meeting. I don't know if we need to do that again tonight, but certainly if there's any discussion on this, we can. The chair would entertain a motion to approve. Artie moves, and he seconds.
Eric.
Eric? Been at this too long, Eric.
Mr. Chair.
Is there any discussion on the implementation steps? Yvel?
Yes, just a minor amendment to number 2. I would like to see the words inserted after redesign, where it would read redesign and possibly rename the academically talented program. So in the insertion of the words and possibly rename the.
You can accept that. Who made the motion? You did. You want to accept that as a friendly amendment? Sure. All right, that becomes part of the prime motion then. All right. Is there any other discussion, changes?
I could just comment on that. That would be very appropriate because the kind of current research-based model of gifted education that we are talking about in terms of the STEM model as explained in the handout I gave you is not an academically talented program by definition. So we're very happy to make that change. And the only other thing I would point out is at your last meeting, a decision was made to add a 10th priority outcome around the College Board testing and having more students passing those tests. We have a very high number taking them, but only 50% passing. And so that outcome was added as the 10th goal.
All right. I mean, obviously, there were comments earlier about how comprehensive this is. This is year 2 of our 3-year strategic operating plan, and you start from the 10,000-foot level in the SOP and then try to work down into the details. This is very detailed. We have 28 goals for the year and 10 priority outcomes. It's a lot of stuff for our staff to work on, but as we said last year, I think we got 23.5 out of 25 targets accomplished, which is a pretty good success rate. These kinds of things stretch us, but it's good to stretch, good to challenge yourself and try to bring these things in. So I'm very glad that we're in a position to formally adopt this. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the approval, please indicate. And it is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next item is approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the Norwalk Board of Education and the Norwalk Federation of Teachers for September 1, 2016 through August 31, 2020. That's in the packet. Is there a motion to approve? Eric moves. Mike seconds. Any discussion? Eric?
I just want to take a moment again to thank all the parties involved. This was a big process. I want to thank the NFT for their involvement. I want to thank Mayor Rilling and Leisha King, and of course all my fellow board members that were a big part of this. It's really great to see, after a lot of discussion and quite a bit of debate, we were able to come back together and really work something out for the best of the district to keep focusing on our students. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Eric. Any other comments? All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the collective bargaining agreement, please indicate. And that's unanimous. Okay. All right. Next item, number 5, is approval of salary ranges and compensation plan for non-union certified and non-certified management positions. Dr. Adamowski, why don't you take us through this?
Well, I think I've been over this with you basically in executive session. What this attempts to accomplish is 3 things. 1, to set ranges for these positions that are in relation to the NASA unionized administrator's contract, and in general would be 5% higher relative to people that are supervising the administrators in that contract. So that's the part of the ranges. There is a series of authorizations here. 1 enables me to place people at the beginning of the range if their current salary is below that. The second changes your past practice of 2-year individual contracts to 1-year renewable contracts, which will be much easier to manage. And if you end up voting later on something as you are this year, as opposed to doing it on July 1 when contracts expire, these contracts will renew unless I were to notify the individual otherwise. So it creates a better situation for the leaders involved as well as the board. And then the third authorization are the salary increases for the 3 people who are not at the minimum and are within the range.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this recommendation? Heidi moves. Is there a second? Eric seconds. Discussion? Deval?
Yeah, I'm going to vote no for this at this time due to the current status of the state budget and what's our current status in terms of central office and where we are going to be in the upcoming future. I would like to have further discussions on the policies and procedures related to this package to ensure that we're able to retain individuals in the district. So that's why I'm going to vote no.
Any other discussion? Shirley and then Artie.
I'm going to vote no on this as well. And for the same reason as far as the uncertainty of the state budget, and I'm not comfortable with supporting a 5% increase when the administrative staff and teachers have received between 2 and 2.6%. I do understand about compensating for services, but at this time, until we get some kind of certainty as to what's going on, we need to try to stay consistent. And because of that reason, they're alone. And it's not, towards the individuals. I will be voting no.
Artie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to say that I believe a worker is worthy of his or her wage, and I do not deny the right for someone to pursue that and advance in their salaries. And my statements have nothing to do with the people that are in these positions. But there's a word that comes to mind, is the word tact. And the word tact is defined as sensitivity in dealing with issues. And I believe that this one specifically requires a lot of it, and for the following reasons. Last spring, we submitted a budget and we did not receive the requested budget. We were faced with massive layoffs, massive cuts, millions of dollars of cuts. And without the NFT switching to 2.0, we would be here right now voting on those cuts and cutting teachers and programs. The city has also imposed a hiring freeze in all departments. I recently spoke to a director in the city who says that he has not received a raise in over 3 years. In addition, the state has not approved a budget, and if they vote on the budget that they have approved, we will stand to lose $79,000. If that's the case, then what do we cut? Now, I know the justification is that a raise would be able to hold on, it would allow us to hold on to talent. Well, an executive research company gave a statistic and says that 16% of those executives that leave a position is not due to salary. 84% executives do not leave because of money, they leave because of promotions and more opportunities. So, Mr. Chairman, I ask that we delay this until at least after the budget and the city releases their freeze, so we have a better handle on the funds that would be available to us.
So are you moving to table?
I'm asking to table it, yes.
All right, there's a motion to table, just not debatable. Is there a second? There's a second. All right, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of tabling this motion, and, well, indefinitely at this point because you don't know about the budget.
Until the budget, yes.
Indicate, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed to tabling? 1, 2, 3, 4. Mr. Mayor, you care to vote on a tie?
Sorry.
First time ever. First time ever. I believe, as Mr. Crevecoeur and Mr. Kasimis both do, that this is a very challenging time. We really don't know what we're facing. The city is facing up to $5 or $6 million worth of cuts from the state of Connecticut, and that's going to be a significant challenge. I too agree that we need to compensate people fairly, compensate them competitively so that we don't lose people. I believe that the motion to table is quite appropriate until we have a better handle on what's going to be coming down the road from the state of Connecticut. So I would vote in favor of the table.
All right, then the motion is tabled, 5-4. All right, we will move, let's see. Next item is approval of 2017-18 board workshop topics. This is just the schedule of the workshop meetings from October 17 through June of 18. We discussed this at the last meeting as well, and as discussed then, these are all basically designed to work on the implementation steps for this year. Eric, you moving to approve?
I will, Mr. Chair, but I also was wondering if there is an availability for comment on the last item since it was tabled.
No. Once the vote is on and debate terminated.
I will move that item then.
All right. It's been moved to approve the workshop topics schedule, seconded by Artie. Any other discussion? Heidi?
I think we've worked on this for a while. I know we've had meetings in other locations, but I think when we have our workshop topics, it's important to have it at other locations so we can have a lot of feedback from families that are able to come. For example, we have our February 6th workshop, Norwalk Early Childhood Center. We're talking about our strategic plan, makes sense, middle school redesign, Roten, high school program of study. You know, we've got a great media studies program that's just launched. We can have it in that area at Norwalk High School. So I think it's important, some of the things that we've initiated and that we're working on, to have it at those locations. So I think this is an excellent idea to have some of our workshops at different locations.
I agree. All right, all in favor of the motion, please indicate. Approved unanimously. All right. Item 7 is recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15 to October 15, 2017. Is there a motion to approve the resolution in the packet? Mike moves, Eric seconds. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the resolution? And that is unanimous. And last item of action item is recognition of National Bullying Prevention Month, October 2017. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Artie moves, Eric seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
Just real
Artie?
quick, Mrs. Keegan was here about 2 months ago, or a month and a half ago, and asked about training. Is there any follow-up on that?
All of our staff has been trained. It's a requirement every 2 years. They had it last year, so the only people that would get it this year are new teachers.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving National Bullying Prevention Month? And that is unanimous, thank you. All right, next we go to information reports, August 2017 monthly financial report. Tom Hamilton.
Okay, this will be short and sweet because we're only, this report is only through August. It is 16% of the way through the fiscal year, but 0% of the way through the school year. So you really can't make any, glean much information from this report at all. There's nothing we're aware of that presents any problems for us on the local budget. We think the local budget is sufficient and balanced, and certainly with the final vote tonight on the NFT contract amendment and the move into State 2.0, that resolved the one outstanding issue for us on the local budget. On the state budget, you're all aware, I think we don't have a state budget yet, and that remains the unknown for us is what's going to happen with the grant funds, particularly the PSD grant, Alliance District grant, and the other grants that the district does receive. I don't know if there's any questions.
No, I know we've been trying to figure out what's going on. I've been back and forth with Gail Aviel, who herself is trying to figure out exactly what's going on. The Republican budget apparently reformatted a lot of the ways that these budget line items had been set up. And people haven't completely figured out what the impact on Norwalk is of that reformatting. I think what's going to happen is that the governor's going to veto it, and then he's going to say, all right, we got to find some kind of a compromise between the two bills. Now let's work it out. And when that happens, we'll know what our numbers are.
Right. And hopefully that happens pretty quickly because.
Yeah. Well, what is it? October 2 or 3 is when the first ECS payments are supposed to come out.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully the negotiation will be a little bit more urgent than the lead up to it was.
Right.
All right, any other questions? No, we're good. All right, next we will do committee and representative reports. We'll start with Val. What's going on with special ed these days?
Well, we have all of our dates set. They're primarily on the second Tuesday of every month, with the exception, I believe, of April because of vacation. Our first meeting will be October 10th. The meetings run from 5:30 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. and then from 6:30 to 6:45 is a Q&A session for anyone who signs up to 5 individuals may sign up to ask questions or express comments about the topics at hand for that particular meeting. At our first meeting on October 10th, Chief Gorovich will be present for us to welcome her and for her to tell us what's happening in the district, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. Brian, finance, you got all our financial problems solved?
Sure. Finance met last week. A couple of the topics were already covered here tonight, financials and the grant for food for breakfast as well. We talked about some of the ongoing internal control projects, not very exciting, but necessary to give us better transparency in the financials and ability to make sound financial management decisions. So we'll be getting Munis up on the cloud, hopefully in February. This will be a 7 upgrade improvement. So we're behind 7 versions right now. So right now, finance lacks the tools to do quick drill down analysis into the numbers, and part of this is why it takes so long to get decisions. We're also going to work on designing a new taxonomy to fit within the constraints of Munis, but to be able to better analyze our teachers and our head count where they are, so they'll develop some kind of code that fits within the field. And by looking at the code quickly, they'll be able to tell, okay, yeah, that's a 2nd grade teacher at Wolfbit, and also discipline as well. So right now we just have kind of like that position number and what the discipline is, and there's a lot of work that has to go on after that to figure out who everybody is and what they are. So really just modernizing the systems for better analytical capabilities. So I was excited to see about that, and you know, we heard your guess is as good as mine on the finance
State budget.
We'll be, hopefully we will have an idea before we have to start the next budget.
Yeah, which is coming up soon.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Heidi, what's going on in policy? A lot last time I checked.
We had our meeting back on, seems like a while ago, but it was just on September 5th. We talked about 2016-17 year in review, what we've done, some of the highlights. Moving forward, 2017 and 18, what we'll be doing as well. I think the meat of this is we're waiting for our audit to come back from CABE. Frank and I are working closely, as well as the whole policy committee. Once we have that in hand, we can really delve in and look at our policies and figure out what we need to do next. We also had a presentation. Sharice came in. We discussed sexual harassment, students, staff. That's going to be an ongoing policy that we're going to be working on from beginning to end, so that may take several policies to work on.
Okay.
So we've got a lot going on in policy within, I'd say, within at least the next 6 months. And some of our policies may take longer because we really have to talk about it, discuss it, review what we have in CABE and what we need to change and what we need to add.
Okay.
In addition to that, we had a long 2-hour meeting, actually. It was a great meeting, Norwalk Early Childhood Council. We really discussed strategic plan voting, really what our vision is for a council, performance measures, theory of action, some of our goals, and I believe, Dr. Adamowski, some members from the council came to you and spoke to you about that.
Yes.
So we are working on that in detail. Looking at school readiness, family engagement, how important it is to have families involved, obviously, advocacy, and Dr. Connor has been instrumental in working on this, and we've worked in small groups to have this come to fruition, which is great. A lot more is going on with the Early Childhood Council, but again, we have our monthly meetings, and we'll talk further as time goes on, and each time I'll come back and give a report.
Okay. Thank you for all that work on the Early Childhood Council.
There's a lot to do, and we have a lot going on, but I think it's really a community effort between the Board of Education, the city side, and members of some of the preschools that are representatives of the community and talking about some issues.
Good. Okay, for negotiations, we're just about done. We will have documents coming to the board in October for the custodians, NFEP, and nurses. All of these unions have agreed to go on the 2.0 insurance plan, so we have succeeded in, as was mentioned, in avoiding that financial crisis with that move. We have one negotiation still in process, talking to the NFT about length of school day issues that's still under negotiation. But other than that, everything has been completed in terms of negotiations, and next month we should be able to put all of these contracts to bed. Mike, what's going on in facilities?
A lot. We will have a facilities committee meeting next week, but in advance of that, we're going to have some discussions with the city and our project manager, Jim Giuliano, tomorrow, and kind of map out a plan for where we're going, what we need to get done. We definitely, to stay on track, a lot has to happen, and it has to happen on a pretty tight schedule. As you probably saw in the press, the school construction is actually handled by the city, and a committee on which I was on, as well as some members of Norwalk Public Schools, reviewed, I think it was 14 applicants initially, and we narrowed it down to 5 that we interviewed in person. It was like 2 full days, and we chose Perkins Eastman to be the lead architect on the Ponus Ridge project, and a company, I'm going to always get their initials backwards, I think it's JCP, for the Ely project. And that we were at the city council in this room late last Tuesday night, and that did pass as well. They were approved, so that process is moving along. And we're also doing some work at Ely that we need to do to get the right approval so that we can proceed with the project there. So at I think you'll hear about all this in detail at the Facilities Committee meeting next week. We're going to look at how our projects are going, Phase 1 and 2 at West Rocks, what we're planning to do at Norwalk High School, some work that needs to be done at Fox Run, the remaining asbestos removal work at Cranberry. So there are a lot of projects, and we want to start planning and figuring out the budget, the monies we need for in the next fiscal year, in the 18-19 fiscal year. So that will be the topic then. In addition, with respect to the pool, there have been discussions between the city and myself as well as staff. We're basically, NPS is actually going to run the pool, but the funding is going to come out of a reserve initially to be subsequently funded by the city. And we are in a dialogue with some of our tenants, namely Zeus, to figure out, what changes maybe we could make to make it better, and maybe some design work that should be done in the coming years that will make it a better facility. And so anyway, that we're waiting to hear from Zeus now so we can go forward with meetings on that topic. Last of all, this isn't directly facilities, but indirectly. We had a meeting here in City Hall last week about snow removal. And it was 80-something degrees that day. But anyone who's got a memory will remember how worked up some members of our stakeholders got about a fluke storm that really we don't expect again. But there's been we've been meeting now several times between Parks and Rec, DPW, NPS, figuring out how to proceed. We've come up with a bunch of ideas. We're researching some other ideas so that, we know it's a really tough challenge. It really falls on poor Frank Costanzo's shoulders to work with professional meteorologists, with superintendents in other districts. It's a really tough call. And unfortunately, many of our stakeholders, particularly parents, don't appreciate how complicated it is to make that call and to make that right decision. But we're doing our best to make it as, good a decision as possible and have as good a response as possible. So that is underway. And then last of all, I don't know, this is probably isn't under facilities. Well, I know it's not under facilities, but I am a member of negotiations and personnel. I did want to make mention of Bob Deluski, who's been with us for a very long time. And for those of us who've been on the board a long time, he's really been carrying the mantle for the HR department. And I thought Friday was his last day, but I heard it might be next week.
October.
Okay. Okay, then these comments are premature, and I can do something later. But I hear you're planning an event. That's what I heard, Sharice. You're planning something.
Yes, we had heard next week, then September 29th, now it's October. So,
Maybe it'll be in December.
Keep finding things for him to do before he leaves.
Okay.
Well, Anthony Shannon will start October 1st.
Okay.
I think the recognition for Dr. Deluski is planned in October, correct?
Okay.
So they'll be transitioning for a few days.
Okay. Good.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Artie, curriculum, sports, etc.
Curriculum. Tonight we had a meeting before this, and in 1 hour we were jam-packed. We went over a lot of information. The Professional Learning Summit update, we received an update from Dr. Connor on that. We also approved the high school attendance policy, which I know is already a policy committee, and we approved it. We're going to be moving up to the full board vote for the next time we meet, and here's the updates. We're very satisfied with it. They made some nice changes. They did a lot of work behind it, put a lot of detail. Adam Reynolds put a lot of detail work behind it, so we're satisfied with it. Also, we had a review of the K-5 short cycle assessment, and it's more like what Dr. Connor calls it, a dipstick test, where the students are at, and it's very interesting. It's great work being done by the curriculum committee, as we all know. And then we had a review of the ALA math curriculum maps presentation. Finally, Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be the chair of curriculum for the last 2 years, and as you know, I'm winding down my term here. In the last 2 years, I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Connor, and I just want to wish him all the best. I see him as the Secretary of Education one day for the entire country. He is leaving behind some great infrastructure, great people. He's done a lot of work for the season that he's been here. He's leaving a legacy, and I think of anything that's what you can leave behind is yourself, and he's given of himself. He's here early, he leaves late, and he cared about Norwalk. He was never looking for, I believe, he was never looking for the next gig, but he gave it his all while he was here. And yes, the season is over and he's moving on, and I've learned a lot of new words while working with him. You know, those big words that he uses. But I wish him all the best, and I want to thank him for his time with me on the curriculum.
Thank you, Gordon.
And thank you to Dr. Adamowski, because he hired him. And I really mean that. He really knows how to find good talent. So thank you, Dr. Adamowski.
Yep. Thank you, Artie. Good comments. Eric, any reports?
Yes, since the last time I got a chance to do these public comments on my committees, the POCD, the Plan of Conservation and Development that I worked with Mayor Rilling and the rest of the committee on, we did meet about a month ago, was it?
A couple weeks.
Couple weeks. And it was a really great first meeting where Steve Kleppen introduced our consultants to the entire group. We began to have overview of what the process will look like. I did receive an email recently from our Director of Planning and Zoning, Steve Kleppen, earlier this week, giving us some updates as to where the committees are, what the outreach to the stakeholders is looking like, and key folks within the city. It's exciting to see where it's going to be going. I know we're planning on putting together a schedule of future meetings, and I will be happy to keep the board apprised as to when those come forward.
Okay, good. I'm very pleased that the Board of Education was included in the process right from the get-go here.
Yes.
You know, we read all the time about, you know, new apartment buildings and everything, and, you know, the impact on the school system. And I'm pleased that we've got one of our own people in there to watch this process as it goes right from the start.
And if I can make one other comment, Mr. Chair, it was very nice to hear about the plan for surveys and surveying the public. And I did let the committee know that we here on the board have a fair deal of knowledge on surveying the public, especially with last year, where I think, you know, our communications team, as well as the rest of us, did a great job of reaching out to the public to really get their opinions on key pieces of moving forward we were doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We will now go to board member announcements. We'll reverse the direction. Shirley, got anything?
Yes, Saturday night, I attended the Battle of the Bands at Brian McMahon High School. Mayor Rilling was with me, and we handed out the awards. And I'm pleased to say that Norwalk High won first place. And but all the other bands were fantastic. I enjoy every year. I go every year, and I enjoy that because I think, you know, pushing the arts and bands and all that stuff is something that is essential to us all. And it was good to see the entire, you know, because we went to Spirit Night and just saw a portion of it, so you got to see the entire, you know, show, and it was really, really good to watch that and see that. And I want to thank Brian McMahon for always hosting this and having us, you know, go over and attend. It was a well, you know, attended event, and again, like I said, the mayor was with me, and we really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you. Eric, anything?
I guess I do have some other stuff. I should have said it during my other piece. I apologize. Now here I am talking again. I do want to say I did get a chance to attend the Jefferson fundraiser, the food truck night. And actually, we have one of the organizers here with us, Mr. Matt Yost, so I wanted to give a shout out to him as well as the rest of the team that put that together. It was their third year doing it, I believe, and it was bigger and better than it was. I did see Mr. Meek there, and I know Mr. Barbas did come through as well. Mayor Rilling was there. It was a fantastically attended event. So much community there, so many people really getting together, enjoying what Jefferson has to offer, along with some really nice food in a bouncy castle, if I recall. I saw your kids hopping into. So congratulations on another fantastic year, and I look forward to next year as well. And as another quick little note, I'm actually going to be taking part in again, for the third year, for the Norwalk Historical Society's Haunting at Mill Hill, which most of the proceeds directly go to fund the Little Red Schoolhouse program, which does teach our third graders within Norwalk and the greater Norwalk community as well about the history here in Norwalk. So I'm excited to be a part of that again. It's great work that they do over at the Society. Mr. Gianderco and I actually used to serve on the board together, so I have some fond memories of then. So I'm looking forward to a fantastic event, and I hope to see many people there, even if you don't recognize me.
Ready? Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Sure. A couple of things. Thank you, Ms. Mosby, for mentioning the celebration of sound. I go there and I videotape Norwalk High School live on Facebook, as well as Brian McMahon. And it was difficult for me when I first got elected, because I watched the Norwalk McMahon football game, and McMahon was about 30 points ahead. And Norwalk finally scored a touchdown, and I go, yeah! And because I'm a Norwalk High School graduate, people said to me, you can't do that, you can't do that. So I want to congratulate Norwalk High School, but I also want to mention the fact that Brian McMahon was not eligible to participate in the awards because they're the whole school.
Right.
So, but they both did a remarkable job. It's so great to see, and I'm so happy that we were able to keep that music program going, because it's so important to have these young people groomed to come into that high school environment where they have such an amazing program. Secondly, I also attended the school at Jefferson. Thank you. I also graduated from Jefferson. So. But thank you, Matt. That really was a really good event. Also, I'm so happy that the NFT has signed their contract, and thank you for everybody getting back to the table and sitting down and working it out, because it really shows what Norwalk is all about and how we cooperate and we sit down, we talk, and we get things done. And last but not least, I would also like to thank Dr. Connor for the remarkable talent that he brought to the Norwalk Public School System. He's been a gentleman, always there in the morning. Always, I walk in the morning, I see Dr. Connor. I leave late at night, I see Dr. Connor. And I have good news for the board. I have Chief Kahalwick outside waiting to take Dr. Connor into custody. So you can't leave. You can't leave. But I'll call Middletown and explain the whole thing. But again, Dr. Connor, thank you for what you've done for the city of Norwalk in the time that you've been here. And again, I too recognize the fact that Dr. Adamowski brought you on board, and quite a find. And we're going to be very sad to see you leave. So thank you again.
He's also the best dressed in City Hall.
Totally. Dr. Cotton.
Come on, man. Sorry. Now we know why he's leaving. Competition was coming in.
That's why he's leaving.
So Fred Shannon was going to come in and upstage him. Mike, any comments?
No, just that, we had open houses this last week, and I went to a few of them, and they were really well run, really well organized. All the feedback I got from parents was super positive. In particular at Rowayton School, where there's big management change, there's a new principal, a new interim principal, and a new CISD, and it was really, I've never been to an open house like that there, and it was really well done. But the open houses at the other schools that I attended were also good, but change can be really good, and it can really have a huge impact on our students and our all stakeholders, teachers, staff. And I really saw that in action there, so thank you.
I'm looking forward to the Haunting of Mill Hill. That was a lot of fun last time. I'm certainly going to go to that again. I also wanted to congratulate Mike on the new position, where he's going, I believe, to be the youngest superintendent in the entire state of Connecticut. When Dr. Adamowski began filling out our staff positions, he said, a lot of what I want to do here is I want to select people for the positions of chief who are ready to serve as superintendent of schools. Now, we didn't think superintendent of Middletown. But that's the kind of quality people that Dr. Adamowski has brought in here. And when you have quality people like that, other people notice, and sometimes they find opportunities that you just can't turn down. And I congratulate you. I think you did a terrific job here. You left a really, as you use the word legacy, I think, a really nice legacy of progress that we've made, and that's not going to stop when you leave, because you've left momentum to those changes behind you. And I don't know, 3 years from now, maybe we'll poach him back from Middletown.
Hey, that's a good idea.
I can work.
I think I'm going to echo what everybody else has said. We wish you the best of luck. And what resonates with me for you here is just being so eloquent and helping out, and your shoes. Your shoes stand out to me. You've got great shoes, I have to say. No, but really, we wish you the best of luck. And I think Middleton, it's it's a bittersweet moment, I think. Like, as I'm sitting here looking, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to miss you so much, but you've done so much for us here in Norwalk in the short amount of time that you've been here. And we've got big shoes to fill, but we wish you really the best of everything in Middletown for you and for your family. I did go to a few open houses, but one I wanted to mention also, I went to visit Norwalk High School Pathways Academy, which really stands out. I have to give a shout out to Mr. Carl, Mr. Seberg, Mr. Pagano, Mr. Franco, Ms. Milne. There's a group of teachers that really work closely together to really make this happen. So I think that will really put us on the map as far as getting our students engaged, excited about journalism, about media studies. And I think piloting this at Norwalk High School is great until we can find the space in downtown Norwalk, but we've got an excited group of children. And also NECA, it would be the first graduating class this summer, so that's also something to be celebrating. So I think we've got a lot going on in Norwalk.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah, which one?
About NECA,
Yeah.
Stephen. I know we've talked about this now at a couple board meetings. This would be the first graduating class. Is this going to be like CGS where they just graduate the McMahon kids? Is there going to be a separate graduation? Have they worked on that?
That's a very good question. It will be I believe it will be part of the Norwalk High School graduation. There may be another ceremony as well, because there are a number of students who will be getting a college degree as well as a high school degree. That's what's being worked on, but it will be a part of the Norwalk High School, and there may be another ceremonies.
I don't know if this is the right form to ask this question, but I have asked through in different ways before. Could we at some point, it wasn't on the workshop list, but could we get an update on NECA? Because you hear different rumors and different things, and it'd be great to kind of get an update on, where the kids are coming from, what the dropout rate is, and how many of them are getting associate's degrees.
I think that's a good point. I spoke to a parent that has her child, and I asked, is your son getting his 2-year degree now? Is it taking 5 years? Is it taking 6 years? So I think if we had, and I thought of that, if we had some information on
because I don't think
where
the
we're
board
going.
has seen Karen Amaker pretty
Correct.
much since we
Right.
got going. So it'd be great. I'm more curious than anything
Sure.
else.
I'll see if I can double that up with something on your
Okay.
workshop schedule in terms of maybe we can do it the night of the high school program of study.
Perfect. That'd be great.
I think it would also be great if we had some of the students coming in, and I mentioned that during the pathways, like once it really gets off the ground, which it is, but we need some time having the students make a presentation. Same with NECA. I think everything that they've learned, I think would be great for the board to see.
Okay.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, so my kids were a little disappointed Friday night. I told them we weren't going out for pizza, and then lo and behold, we go to Jefferson, and they have a wood-fired pizza truck.
Pizza.
Along with the bounce house, so it was a good time, had by all, and shout out for that. And attended the Cranberry Open House, saw our new floors up close, looked very nice. They're red, so I don't know if that's good for emperors or whatever, but they're cranberry red anyway. They look real nice, and they have. They also got a new divider wall up on the auditorium stage, so that gives them a private room for the music, and still the ability to use the stage. So off to a good start there, and good stuff. And they learned about the third graders going to Mill Hill for a history lesson on a field trip later this year. So looking forward to that. And that's it. And good luck, Dr. Connor. Thank you.
Val?
All right. Well, I don't know where to start. I had an opportunity to say something at the curriculum committee meeting before this meeting, but I couldn't say anything because I'm sad and disappointed. That being said, I'm even more encouraged that we had an opportunity to interact with you, and you were here for the students, and you worked for all students. And when I think of you, I think of the two words you mention all the time when you're presenting is rigor and relevance. Advancing scores where, in today's society, we focus too much on outcomes in terms of the scores. But really, in education is also about developing the person. And I'm encouraged for you, no matter where you go, and in the next steps in your life, because your focus is also on relationships. So for me, that's the third R. You can't improve rigor, you can't make that relevance connection unless you can build relationships with individuals. And in your short tenure here, you've made that impression on myself to the point where it's very difficult for me to accept that you're leaving. But I am extremely, extremely happy for you because I see this as an opportunity for you to develop yourself as a professional and to learn who you are as a person as you interact with individuals in terms of relationships. That being said, use that opportunity as a playground. You're extremely inquisitive. Use your intellectual curiosity and to experiment, explore, because you have that opportunity to do so in your new position. But at the same time, I know that beyond research and data, statistics, etc., your focus is going to be on the pragmatic aspects for all the education stakeholders in the district. So congratulations to you.
All right.
I have a quick little announcement for Ms. Harris. We have a student she'd like to report on. I'm sorry I cannot be there today, but I want to congratulate Tez DeJager and the Brian McMahon volleyball team. Tez, an outstanding volleyball player with the support of her parents, Joy and Ken, won the Rudin Report's Outstanding Female Player Award with 795 votes. We should all be very, very proud. And in addition, Dr. Connor, I will reserve her comments. I guess I'm assuming she will express herself at the next board meeting, so be on the lookout for the minutes. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Adele. Okay, just a couple of little matters to go, and we're done. Approval of 2 sets of minutes. First set of minutes is the minutes of August 15. Are there any corrections, changes? All right, motion to approve. Artie moves. Mike seconds. All in favor? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? 2 noted abstentions. Got them, Secretary? Sherrill and Eric?
Shirley.
Sorry. Get my names bollocksed up. I couldn't even remember Eric's for a minute. Next item is the agenda for minutes for September 5. Are there any changes or corrections? Eric?
Yes, Mr. Chair. There is a noted change at the closing of the meeting. Number 1, I do believe we left later than 9:15. And also to note, I was not here at the close of the meeting. I did leave during executive session because I did have to travel to go pick up my fiance. So I know that I think it was considerably later than. That was after 10.
No, I actually, Mike, you had asked me to email Marilyn Knox, and I forgot to. It was at 10:38. We walked out at 10:38.
And also noting that I motioned to close the meeting. I could not have done that with myself being absent at the closer.
Right, I did. So
it was most likely Mr. Kasemis again.
So Artie moved. Anybody know who seconded that?
I think I might have seconded.
And Heidi seconded, okay. Please also note in the minutes that it says Mr. Lyons called for a 5-minute recess. You should note, and then left the meeting. I was not present for the executive session. Okay. Any other changes, corrections? Okay, motion to approve. Artie, second for Eric. All in favor of approving them? And that's done. Opposed? Abstentions? 1 abstention. Who's not here? And we will now proceed to a motion to adjourn. Mr. Kasemis. Thank you. Second, Eric. All in favor?
This isn't.
The meeting is adjourned.
We got 2 couple, 3 more.
All right.
3 more.